So, welcome. Episode 3. Normally, at times at services, we would say this is the point at which Crosspoint Kids happens. I'm looking around, and I think we have older kids today. So, second service will be packed. That is my prediction for that, which will be a lot of fun. So, let's get going. If you have your Bibles, or if you have a Bible app that you'd like to take out, go ahead and get it open to John chapter 2. That is where we are going to start today. God designed us to celebrate. True or false? Usually I put stuff up here that's true, right? I'm really trying not to trick you. I want to leave stuff with you that works. It's true. God did design us to celebrate. He gave us great avenues in which we can experience joy, right? Celebrating things that are simple, like simple victories, simple wins in your life are great. But the big things are great too. Why do we celebrate birthdays and anniversaries? Why do we celebrate, the joys that we get? Why do we go to parties? Why do we go to weddings? Why do we go anywhere? That's kind of a question we've been asking ourselves over the last 18 months. Why do we go anywhere? For a while, we couldn't go anywhere, right? So it came to each one of us to kind of in that time that we spent on our own, forced, yes, but still on our own, to kind of take stock of what was important. Did you guys do this too? I know we did this. I did this in my head. We did this in our family. As we're sitting there not able to do any of the things that we were done, all of our plans just stripped away from us, it became really important to figure out what truly was important in our lives. What are we going to spend our energy and our time doing? What are we going to spend our resources and our gifts and skills doing? And as time went on, as that began to kind of coagulate and come together, I realized, I think you probably realized too, that this whole idea of getting people together to gather and to celebrate something was important. We missed it. Some of you, it might have felt like you missed going to concerts, right? Being in a crowd of people, enjoying great live music. Some of you missed traveling, right? Going to far-flung places or going out into nature or whatever it was. Some of you missed just being with your family. There were a lot of us that couldn't be with certain family members for a long, long time. Some of you just missed this. This right here, right now. This is something we will never take for granted again. Something that our brothers and sisters in Christ around the world in different countries, some of whom are being persecuted right now, will never take for granted, as we shouldn't either. We miss celebrating. It's a fundamental part of the human experience that God has designed us to participate in. So, what happens when Jesus gets invited to a party? That's the question. John chapter 2, verse 1, verse 2. The next day there was a wedding celebration in the village of Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the celebration. John chapter 1 is this beautiful chapter that mirrors the beginning of Genesis. It's a new creation story, and God says that the Word was there. The Word was before creation. The Word was everywhere. The Word is Jesus, right? And in Jesus, God came down to be with his people. It was God made flesh to save the world. So this God made flesh to save the world, whose name is Jesus, goes out into the world. And what does he do? The very first thing, how does he interact with people? He gets invited to go to a party. It's not a bad gig, right? So what does he do? Well, he goes to the party. Why? Because showing up is half the battle. Have you learned this in your life yet? Yeah, right? Showing up is half the battle. Whether that's for people around you, whether you show up in their lives when they need you, or when you have a hard time even getting out of bed, right? When you remember that showing up is half the battle, it gets you out of that rut and into relationships and places that God has called you to be. And so when Jesus is called to go to a simple wedding, a simple party, he shows up. He shows up, and he brings all of his disciples and his people with him, right? So, during the wedding, the wine supply ran out. Wah, wah. We're Lutherans, so we take great pride in the fact that we invented many of the beers and alcohols that are for sale today. We know also that we should use them responsibly. and we know how to do that. But we're not teetotalers, right? We understand this is part of life. It's an enjoyable part of life. The wine supply ran out. So Jesus and his mother told him they have no more wine. And Jesus now don't read this condescendingly, all right? When you read stuff, you can put intonations in it, right? Read this as like, Mom, right? That's what he's saying. Mom, that's not our problem. Jesus replied, my time has not yet come. Okay, so here's the problem. They're at a wedding. The wine has run out. This is not going to be good, right? Because weddings back in Jesus' day were multi-day celebrations. They took place over lots of time. And the hosts spent lots of money and lots of effort hosting their guests overnight, feeding them banquets, and just having a great time. It was a time to celebrate new beginnings, time to celebrate a new life, and the new life that God would bring through that. So the fact that there's no more wine means that not only are the people not going to have a good time, but it's going to cast a poor light on the host, right? His reputation, their family's reputation, it's going to be kind of a bad omen for that couple as well. So it is a problem. They can't just make do. They can't just say, oh, just bring out the beer or bring out the water. Everybody can, detox the last couple days. It'll be okay. That's not a thing. Jesus' response is odd, isn't it? His mom says there's no more wine. Jesus says, well, it's not really my problem. Then he says, my time is not yet come. Why does he say that? This is unique to John's gospel. There's 4 gospels, right? Help me out here. The 4 gospels, they are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The first 3, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, are very similar. But John takes things a totally another direction. In fact, his gospel isn't necessarily even time specific. It's built around 7 signs. And John, my friends who are a lot smarter than me, think that John is built around the feasts that the Jewish people would celebrate. So feast after feast after feast after feast is built around these signs that happen. And what Jesus is saying here, my time is not yet come, isn't like, well, at 6 o'clock I'll do something about it. He's saying my kairos, my time, my opportunity, my event is not here yet. It's not ripe, right? Jesus is reminding us that he has a time, that there is a time coming when he is going to do something so unique that it's going to be better than providing wine for a wedding, which in those days there wasn't really much better. It was a great celebration for the whole city, the whole neighborhood, the whole village. It was something that people will remember for generations to come. Do you remember the wedding of so-and-so and so-and-so? And everybody could tell the stories about it. Jesus is saying there's something better coming. And for John, the way that he's writing his story of Jesus, the way he's guiding us into understanding who Jesus is foreshadowing the time that is to come. We live on this side of Easter, so we know exactly what he's foreshadowing to. He's foreshadowing to the time when Jesus goes to the cross, when he's raised from the dead on Easter morning, when he brings hope of life to the whole world. But it's not time yet. So what is Jesus going to do about it? Is he just going to forget about helping these people here? Well, it wouldn't really be a great story and probably wouldn't be included in Scripture if that's the case, right? So his mother told the servants, do whatever he tells you. This is typical mom move, isn't it? This is really typical. Do this, please. Okay, you're going to do it. Standing nearby were 6 stone water jars used for ceremonial washing. Each one could hold 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus acquiesces, right? My time has not yet come, but for you, Mom, I'll take care of it. Jesus told the servants, fill the jars with water. When the jars had been filled, he said, now dip some out and take it to the master of ceremonies. So the servants followed his instruction. That's what's kind of unique to me, right? You've heard of the story of Jesus changing water into wine. This is the actual story, but you don't remember the specifics. Right? You remember that he changed water into wine, but you don't remember what happens in between. This is really important because he says, fill the jars with water. He doesn't say, here's some magic wine. He said, there's something going to happen. Something is going to change. I'm going to take this one fundamental part of life, and I'm going to transform it into something else. I'm going to take this one thing that you know and love. It's not really what you want, but I'm going to make it exactly what you need. In doing this, what is Jesus doing? In this simple sign, he is foreshadowing exactly what he is going to do when his time comes, that he's going to take the whole world and all the people in it, and he's going to make it all new. He's going to make it the way that God designed it to be, the way that he wants it to be. This is what Jesus does. And this simple act of changing water into wine, which we all wish we could have the power to do whenever we would like, it's not about water into wine. It's about transforming something that we didn't see into something brand new, into something we didn't really care for or want or wasn't complete, into exactly what God designed. Jesus does this for you. He does this for me. He does this for the whole world. This is the first time he gives this sign to his people, and they don't quite get it. But Jesus is doing this in order not just to show that he's really incredible, that he can do miracles. He's taking care of the people around him by doing this. We mentioned earlier that had the wine run out, the story of this wedding would have been told very differently than others in that village and from generations to come. At that point, the master of ceremonies, the one who was hosting the party, would have been put to shame, right? How could you let the wine run out? Didn't you prepare? I mean, Boy Scouts were alive and well back then too, right? You're supposed to be prepared always for any and every eventuality. He was not. Jesus is making other people look good, even when he's teaching them about himself. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that was now wine, not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants did, he called the bridegroom over. They almost always serve the best wine first, he said, at the wedding. Then when everyone has had a lot to drink, usually the bridegroom brings out the less expensive wine. But you have kept the best until now. There's like 6 layers to the story. Jesus does a miracle, right? Turns water into wine. Great, he's amazing. Probably even the Son of God. I mean, if that's all you knew, you could question it. I'm with you. But then he listens to his mother, right? He does this in such a way to transform a life-giving thing into something that is even better. Another layer. A third layer, he's taking care of the people around him. He's making sure that everybody else's reputation is upheld and lifted up. And another layer, that he's not only making it into serviceable wine, lower shelf wine, but he's going top shelf with this new wine. He's giving you what you maybe can't get yourself. He's giving you the best of everything. I mean, this is truly what Jesus comes to do for us. This is the sign for us. It's not that he's just a miracle worker. It's that he comes to make you new today. New so that the world will see his power. New so that people will see that what they crave in this world isn't just, wine or coffee or a little bit of happiness, but that what Jesus offers is joy. He offers you joy that will not be taken away from you through any suffering or terrible thing that happens to you, but joy that lives with you through all of eternity. That truly is what Jesus is bringing. This is the sign that he has brought to this wedding. You've kept the best until now. That's the key. That's the learning from this story. So how does it end? This miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time that Jesus revealed his glory. Remember John and his signs? This is the big deal. And what happened because of it? All of his followers, the disciples, the people around him, they believed in him. They had faith because they saw that Jesus was the one who could take and transform them into something brand new. All right, so how does this relate to celebrations? How does this relate to us today? Well, when Jesus comes to make us brand new, when he comes to us to say, I'm taking what is old and making it into what is new, I'm taking you every day when you make mistakes, when you fall short of who God calls you to be, I'm going to forgive you, I'm going to make you new all the time. I'm going to give you hope that no matter what happens in your life in this world today, that I will be with you. You will never be alone, and I will work for your good. And, better than that, one day, Jesus says, I will return. I will make heaven and earth brand new. I will make them come together, and we will live together as God intended, just like in the Garden of Eden. But better. There'll be more than two people. It's going to be everybody. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a celebration. So let's start that today. Let's celebrate today. Let's share joy with one another. Let's show up for each other. Let's make each other look good. Let's bring life to the party. This is who Jesus was. So, as followers of Jesus, this is who we're called to be. Anybody feel like turning down party invitations this summer? Anybody feel like turning down the opportunity to go hang out outside with people and go places? Nah, this was a double summer, wasn't it? This is the summer of all summers. And it's been awesome. It's been exciting. Now, we live in Chicago, at least those of us that are here, so we know that that will soon come to an end. We are realistic people. We'll be driven back inside again. Can we still have joy? Can we still celebrate with others? Can we still find ways to show up in people's lives? Can we still stay connected? Well, absolutely. That's who God has made us to be. We keep our eyes on that. We keep being made new each day. And together, we celebrate his goodness among us.